Principles in Politics, where I will discuss what's happening in Idaho politics, conservatism, as well as the Idaho State Constitution and U.S. Constitution. During the legislative session, I hope to produce several shows a week through live streaming and recorded videos, keeping it short, sweet, and to the point to help keep you informed. Hey, thanks for tuning in. So Monday, that was January 11th, the Idaho legislature went into session. I was unable to actually get to Boise on Monday and attend this, but I was able to watch a lot of it on videos and live feeds, and I kind of wanted to go over a few things. I mean, the House and the Senate pretty much do what they do every year. They get together, they waste a bunch of time, they have meetings so they can tell each other they're ready to start and inform the governor, so it's always kind of fun and interesting. Rather boring, I should say, not really fun. The governor gave his State of the State address, I guess is what you'd want to call it, like 1 o'clock or noon, I don't remember what, and I made sure I was able to tune in for that, and I kind of wanted to go over a bunch of things that he talked about, because it kind of struck me as funny, strange, or they just didn't belong. The first thing, and right at the very start, talked about the light of democracy. And, you know, that always, when a politician says democracy, it always strikes a hard nerve with me, because we're not a democracy. We're not even a democratic republic, as a lot of people like to say it. We're a full-on republic. The only thing democratic about us is our process of selecting our representation. Other than that, there's no democracy. We're ruled by law. So it's not a majority rule, which is what a democracy is. It's rule of law. We have the U.S. Constitution and state constitutions that dictate how things operate. You know, the only thing a majority picks is our representation. So, and I guess apparently nowadays the majority picks our president too, even though that's not how it's supposed to be. But for some reason, you know, it just ended up being that way. I'm not sure, but one thing he also said, that in 2019 he gave $126 million back to the taxpayers in property taxes in the state, and I'm kind of curious how he did that, because I don't recall getting a refund, and I didn't see any reduction in my property taxes. It's actually quite the opposite. They increased again this year because, well, our system for determining our property taxes is really messed up, and state and the county pretty much get to pick your property value and determine what that is, and your taxes are based on that. So if their 3% increase they're allowed every year, it isn't enough to get them by in their wasteful spending. They just, you know, increase your property values randomly. It's kind of interesting. So if anyone has any clue about, you know, how he gave that $126 million back to property taxpayers in the state of Idaho, you know, throw a message down in the comment and let me know, or send me an email or something, because I'm really curious. I'm going to look into that more. I mean, a lot of this stuff he said I'm going to look into more. I've been busy the last 2 days and haven't had a chance. Oh, he talked about the things that could have happened while the economy could have moved forward. That one kind of baffled me too. You know, the economy could have moved forward. Well, yes, it could, but you closed it down, every business you possibly could, and threatened the ones that wouldn't close. So, you know, threatened business licenses. You had your state Gestapo, your state police, you know, harassing businesses because they disagreed with you. So, yeah, the economy definitely could have moved forward, but you didn't help it any. Oh, let's see, what else? I scribbled down some notes while we were gone, so I got to it was 2 days ago. I'm running a little behind again. I got to kind of figure out what I was trying to make notes of here. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. He said that they put millions into creating some COVID-only facilities. Yeah, I'd like to really know how many facilities and how many patients those facilities actually treated, because I do have a friend that's an RN, and she left her job at a hospital and a home hospice system to go work in one of these facilities, and The last time I talked to her, she said she'd had one patient. So they spent all this money in Twin Falls on this facility and only one patient. That was, yeah, good use of tax dollars yet again. But I'm sure the medical industry and St. Luke's made a small fortune off of it. So, I guess that's good for the economy too. But it doesn't give much back to the taxpayers. Oh, he also said that, schools are either back in full in person or online. So I guess he's considering, that since, well, at least in my school district, since the start of COVID in March, I think our students have been out of school more than they've been in school, and the online system isn't working really good. So, another large expense to the taxpayers. Suddenly the school districts had to come up with all these laptops and computer systems so students could do online learning. And apparently it's not working either, because I know a lot of parents that are fed up and just yanking their kids out of school and starting to homeschool them, which is probably a good thing. Oh, let's see. Oh, he said the state of the state is strong. I guess that's opinions. It would depend on how you define strong. Idaho's economy is doing pretty good, but, COVID really didn't help that. We got, a lot of unemployment, a lot of businesses closed. So I'm really not exactly sure why he said the state of the state is strong, but I'd give it a medium at best. Oh yeah, this was a great line I like. He said, together he and the legislator made Idaho the least regulated state in the nation. Since 2018, when the legislature didn't pass the Going Home bill and basically ended all administrative rules, and the governor and his agencies reinstated them all basically on an emergency and temporary basis, he's been claiming we're the least regulated state, that they eliminated, I don't remember what it was, just an ungodly amount of rules, which I couldn't figure out how he did, because before they deleted a bunch of obsolete rules or rules that couldn't be enforced or, just served no purpose. Ridiculous rules. Before they deleted all those, there were like 8,379 some pages, and they managed to delete 1,000 pages, and I guess that's what makes them feel we're the least regulated state. The funny thing is those rules that are regulating us aren't designed to regulate the people. They're designed to regulate the government. They're to tell the government how to operate. If you actually look in the Administrative Procedures Act, it says right in there that, the administrative rules are to tell agencies how to interpret the legislative intent. So it's to tell them how to operate so they're within the confines of what the legislature intended them to operate, and how each rule or law, or how to interpret each law that affects those agencies. It doesn't say that they can go in and, regulate the people and demand this of the people and demand that of the people. It says that, they're supposed to follow legislative intent. And, well, the administrative rules are a big pet peeve of mine, and we can go on about that for hours, but we won't. But yeah, the least regulated, I laugh at that. He said something about fiscal conservatism. I don't remember what that was, but I kind of laughed, especially since he's been on a spending spree since the start of COVID and spent money without it being approved by the legislature, which, he can't appropriate any funds without the approval of the legislature. So it's going to be interesting to see if the legislature actually does anything about that and makes his agencies reimburse that money to the state, which would just be a hoot. Wouldn't it be grand to watch those all that money they wasted over the last almost year now, that just spend and do as they saw fit, and the legislature goes, well, guess what, that's coming out of this year's budget, so you can reimburse the state for it. I'd just have a hoot with that. And then he went on to talk about he had a record budget surplus. Well, if we've got such a surplus, then why are we so taxed? I mean, I don't know if you understand what a surplus is, but it means they tax to a certain point, and, well, they didn't need all that money, so there's extra. That's basically the best way to say what a surplus is. But if we got such a surplus, let's, cut some of these taxes, reduce our property taxes, at least reduce property taxes for the elderly and retired, and the handicapped. I mean, come on. We've got elderly people that have worked their entire lives to build their homes and their properties, and all these county tax increases, it's starting to force a bunch of them out of their home. They got to start picking whether they're going to pay their taxes or feed themselves, and that's just flat ridiculous. I mean, something needs to be done. I've always said we don't have a tax problem in Idaho. We have a spending problem. We've got plenty of taxes, and there's plenty of revenue. And the government, they'll just keep increasing how much taxes they need, even though, they don't really need them, because if they stayed in their confines of even the Idaho Constitution, a lot of the agencies we have are, a lot of them are duplicates as well, but we could definitely save some taxes, and, he wouldn't have to be bragging about a surplus. Oh, he said something about wanting to do some tax reductions this year, but he says whatever he does, he's got to keep his tax rates competitive. Why do tax rates need to be competitive? They need to be practical. Practical, Governor Little. Practical. Meaning, if you don't need it, don't tax for it. There should be no surplus. The rainy day fund should be very minimal, and it should actually, instead of being in banks on the East Coast, it should be here in Idaho, working for Idaho to make Idaho more money. It should be investing in industry. It should be, low interest loans, at least, make some money off it. Those banks over there that you're and Butch's buddies, are using all that money of ours and not paying any interest on it. It's just flat ridiculous. But yeah, I'd really like to know what he means by keeping the tax rates competitive. Oh, he said one of the basic roles of governments is the roads. I read the Constitution a little bit, and I've read it many times over my life, but, I read the U.S. and the state Constitution again after he did this speech. I didn't read it all, but, kind of skimmed through it, and I didn't see anything in there that says one of the basic roles of government, or that would even imply one of the basic rules of government is to keep and maintain roads. It does say there's some, duties to keep and maintain, public fairs and byways, but the basic role of government is to protect our rights, to conserve and protect those rights. We need to sit down, Governor Little, and have a talk about what the Constitution, and, shut your lawyers up for a while, because they have no concept either. Oh, let's see. He said, I don't remember what he said about this, because I was busy scribbling down the previous note, but he said something along the lines of, I don't remember what he said, but I said in here that in my notes, the solution is toss more money at every problem. It'll fix it, because we've been tossing it at it for years and it hasn't worked yet. So yeah, tossing more money at any solution or at any problem will fix it is always government's ideas. Still not quite sure about that one. How they figure, I'm going to continue to toss money at a problem that money hasn't fixed. And eventually it'll fix itself. Yeah, it's government bureaucracy at its best. Oh, he said he needed to give more money to hospitals. Something about $256 million for their home stretch program. I'd kind of like to know if he's going to give these private hospitals, they're not even state-owned or state-run, they're private. It's St. Luke's. If he's going to give them $256 million, exactly what are they going to do with it? And where's it going to go? I mean, part of the whole deal with the COVID lockdown in the early days was to give these assholes, pardon my French, time to prepare so they weren't suddenly overwhelmed. And they've had many, many months, and now they're screaming that they're going to be overrun because they're not ready and they don't have the equipment. what the hell have they been doing with all of our damn money? And people keep going, oh, they didn't get money from the government. Yeah, they got a lot of money from the government. And every patient they have that they can diagnose with COVID, they get more money. They may not get it directly, but here's the thing. The state gets federal money, the hospitals will get federal money. It doesn't say right there in their budget and their requests and stuff that it's for COVID or because of a COVID case. But trust me, if you look at their numbers, and they'll be coming out very, very soon, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I will lay you odds, even though they did less, things like plastic surgery and elective surgeries and stuff, and only did necessities because they were saving COVID, and they were furloughing nurses and staff. I will lay you odds that they had a record profit this year. I mean, I'd be willing to bet the bank on that. The hospitals did very well during the COVID, while, the governor and his agencies really, kind of screwed us, the people. Let's see, he said something about, oh yeah, he's going to do a one-stop shop to help with the open meeting laws. That's going to be kind of interesting. I'm wondering if his idea behind this is, well, create another agency, need more money, increase taxes. I mean, because who's going to run this one-stop shop? I guess it could go under the state auditor or controller. But yeah, it's going to create more jobs. They're going to need more techs. They're going to need more equipment, because he's talking about statewide, every government agency and department having a system set up where they can make sure that there's open meetings, and I'm sure a lot of them, because of COVID, are going to have to be, online or something, Zoom meetings. And who's going to supply all that equipment and training for all these people, How's this going to work? And, how much money is it really going to cost us? I mean, it all breaks down to everything I heard from the governor during this speech is, I'm going to spend, I'm going to spend, I'm going to spend. But look at how much money I'm saving you. And really, honestly, well, I don't know if he saved me a dime or not. I haven't gotten a refund, so he couldn't have saved me too much. I mean, because if there was that big of a surplus, I think we'd all be getting refunds. So, yeah, it's all about tax and spend, tax and spend, tax and spend. He didn't talk anything about what he thought the legislature might be doing to him over the crap he pulled. And I really, honestly, there's a lot of good-hearted legislators in there, but there's just not enough. I don't think anything's going to happen. I think anything they try and do or pass, the establishment leadership's going to stuff it in a drawer, sit on it, or here's my first prediction. The Senate's going to pass one bill, the House will decline it. Then the House will pass the next bill, and the Senate will decline it. And that way they can just trade back and forth that way, and leadership can save face, and all the senators can save face, and all the representatives can save face. We've got, 105 legislators in the state of Idaho. 105. Out of those, was 21. I looked it up again the other day. I don't remember. I think it was like 19 are Democrats. 19 to 21 of them are Democrats. So, you're looking at 84-ish roughly. 84 legislators. They're supposedly Republican and conservative. They keep talking about keep Idaho red. Well, if this is the red they're talking about, I don't like it. Let's change colors. But out of those 105 legislators, with 84 of them being Republican, the conservative caucus held a meeting, and 18 members were there. 18, plus the lieutenant governor. And that really made me just go, wow. I mean, we've got 8. And the other thing is a whole bunch of the ones that were in there aren't even conservative if you look at their voting record. They will consistently vote for more taxes, bigger government, more spending. I mean, they have no concept of what their own platform even is. So, but we're not going to get into platform adherence right now. That's another one. But really, 18 legislators could get together and, decide. I mean, there were more that signed it, and some more conservatives that actually couldn't be there because they had other things they had to do at that moment. But yeah, I mean, How are you ever going to keep Idaho conservative when you only have 18 legislators that give a crap about you and me? I mean, the rest of them, they'd sell you out for a dime to lobby your leadership. I mean, and they do it in a red hot second. Believe you me. I mean, part of the reason I delayed on doing this is I've been expecting an email, and the person that's sending it to me has been really busy and just hasn't had a chance. But there's the conservative agenda for 2021. I was kind of waiting for it so we could talk a little bit on it, but it didn't show up, and I figured, I've gotten one video out in the last 2 weeks, and I should have done one for Sunday, and I promised you guys I'd get another one out for that Reagan series, but I haven't had time to edit it up yet. So before I went to bed tonight, I wanted to get this one posted. So, and again, still having computer issues, so it's just going to be audio. You don't get any slides for this one or anything. You're just going to look at my background and listen to my voice. But at least we're getting something out there. But I do want to talk really quick about a group that I really appreciate here in Idaho, and that's called the Idaho Freedom Foundation. A little bit about the Freedom Foundation. They're a think tank, and, well, they're all about smaller government. They're all about fiscal conservatism, and they're really hated by the establishment Republicans because they make them feel picked on. So, I keep hearing some of our, how do I want to put this? Well, they should be Democrats, actually. I mean, they make a lot of the Democrats look conservative, and these guys are Republicans. Sit and complain that the IFF gives them bad scores. And they say, well, they're agenda-driven. Well, yeah, the IFF is agenda-driven. But the great thing about the Idaho Freedom Foundation is if you go to their webpage, they will tell you exactly right there what their agenda is and what they're trying to do. And then they rate every legislator based on how they vote on every bill that they've rated. They don't pick on a legislator just because they don't like them or because they're part of the establishment or da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Whatever they like to whine, cry, and complain about. They rate them all equally. They rate the Democrats like their scores because they can go to their people and go, look, see, I did what you wanted. I voted for more government and more taxes. The Republicans just don't like being exposed. I've got a good friend over in Twin Falls that likes to say, when I was in school, I didn't like the teachers when they gave me bad report cards either. So, and I find it really amazing. I looked at in the last session and I compared the IFF scores to the American Conservative Union, the ACU, and it's amazing. The ACU actually rated a lot of our Idaho state legislators worse than the IFF did. They gave them a lower score, so they were far less than conservative. They said they were far from fiscally responsible. And yet, these guys don't complain about the ACU because, you know why? The ACU sends them a check every year. The ACU will, endorse them every year. The IFF is exactly what the IFF is. They're a tool. And if you learn how to use that tool, it's a very handy tool to have. I don't always agree with how the IFF, and most of these guys are, I would consider friends. I've known them quite a while and dealt with them quite a bit, but I don't always agree with how they rate a bill. But the great thing about the way they rate a bill is they tell you why they rated it, how they rated it, and the score they gave it. So you can go in and actually look at each bill that they've rated and see how they scored it. And if you agree with it or don't agree with it, you can up or down that score. And you can kind of adjust and recalculate your elected official score. But I would tell you that any legislator, it doesn't matter in the House or the Senate, the score is under an 80, it is nothing near conservative. I mean, there's no, and if they're scoring under 80 for the IFF, they're likely scoring down in the low 60s. Maybe even the low 50s under the ACU. So, and then another tool that the IFF has, besides their Freedom Index, which is what I was just talking about, they have a spending index. And every spending bill is kind of rated on how where the money goes and how it's used, and if they voted for it or against it. And so it's the same kind of deal. They've got a little metrics and it tells you all about it. But yeah, these fiscal conservative Republicans. My next clip, well, probably won't be this week, but next week I'm going to do a clip where I've got 7 or 8 of these so-called conservatives at their county central committee meetings saying that, yes, they believe in the Republican platform, and yes, they support it 100%, and yes, they follow it 100%. Well, each and every one of them, I can show you in less than 5 minutes on each one of them where they voted for higher taxes, more spending, larger government, or reduction in rights or our rights and freedoms. So apparently they have never read the platform and just believe because they think they're Republican that they're conservative. It's just kind of like the left. You've got the Bernie Sanders, and then you've got, the early day Ronald Reagan. You've got a full gambit in there. Well, the problem with the Republican Party is there shouldn't be a full gambit. We're the conservative party. We should be right. And we should be as far right of center as we can possibly be. The problem is in the last 20 years, well, not even that long. It started about 20 years ago. But just in the 10 to 15 years I've been in Idaho, how long have I been in Idaho? I got here in 2005. So when I got here in 2005, so that's 15 years. In the 15 years I've been in Idaho, it's amazing how far past center so many of them are. Anyway, this has probably been enough of me babbling. I'm trying to look and see where the timeline is on this. Holy crap, I'm 27 minutes into this. This is a longer one than the last one. So anyway, have a good night, folks, and we'll catch you here soon, and hopefully I'll get some camera issues and stuff working, and we can have some actual real video blogs or video casts and interaction. I can do some live feeds. So have a great night. If you like the show, remember to hit that like and subscribe button so you can be informed of new content as I produce it.